I'm wearing my green shirt for cause pickles. So it's a book about pickles. I'm not even making this up. It's literally, yeah. So today I'm gonna be talking about Big Pickle by J.J. Knight. Yes, you heard that right. It's a story, a romance, about a guy with a big pickle. Yeah, just take a minute to let that sink in. Just listen. This is the synopsis, okay? I'm not making this up. They call me Big Pickle. It's not what you think. Although, that's true too. But when my father announces the franchise will go to the most profitable of the three brothers, I learn that even though I'm the eldest pickle, I'm dead last. I hightail it to Texas to see what's happened to my restaurant, only to find a sassy little spitfire named Nova Strong in charge. She's amazing, she's sexy, she runs our deli like she owns it. But despite the way we nearly melt the permafrost in the industrial freezer, I have to control myself. Nova thinks I'm a new employee. She has no idea I'm only there to spy. Or that I'm her boss. Just hold on one second. Yeah. Okay, pickle time. I need fortification. Okay, so it's a guy who owns a deli and his last name is Pickle, and that's it. That's it. That's the story. So it's set in a deli. The two main characters are Jace Pickle, the eldest of the Pickle sons. They literally call their family the Delicatessen Dynasty. Yeah. Oh God. So he's the eldest Pickle brother, and so the father announces this competition between the three Pickle brothers. The three Pickle brothers, that by the end of the year, whoever makes the most money at their deli will inherit the family business. Hold up. Pickle break. So literally how we are introduced to Nova, I'm still eating the pickle. How we're introduced to Nova is her saying, "I've had it with tiny pickles. They are straight up no use to me." I huff out my annoyance, kicking my heavy boot against the leg of the mixing table. My coworker Lamonti has opened no less than 6 buckets of the supposedly biggest dill pickles in the United States of America. I've seen bigger pickles on a dollar store party tray. And sometimes unsolicited in my DMs. I'm sorry, this is happening right now. So Jace shows up to his deli, and there's something going on with his books where the deli is failing, they're almost bankrupt. So instead of just going in like a normal human being who's the owner of a grocery store and being like, "Yo, where's my money going?" Instead he's like, "I'm just gonna pretend to be some random guy who knows the Pickle family and just spy and see who's stealing my money." Because apparently, and just conveniently, his real name isn't actually Jace Pickle, it's Jason Packwood. And we make the most childish joke about Packwood being packing wood, and it's so cringe. Also, there's a point right when Nova meets Jace and she smells him and she's like, "Cologne, I guess. I've never been around a cologne guy. It seems fussy. None of my other male friends are fussy. Not by a long shot." I'm like, excuse me? It's cologne. It's not goddamn Louboutin shoes. It's cologne. Literally none of your friends have ever worn cologne before. They just walk around stinking. They're just stinky boys. All your friends are stinky boys? Yep. Okay, so yeah, Jace pretends to be Jason. He just goes by his last name. And apparently nobody knows what the owner of the store looks like. So they all believe that he's just this Jason guy. And he ends up getting a job just cutting up onions and random stuff in the back of the deli. But then he's still trying to figure out where the money is going. So Nova is the manager of the store. And so she's like, "Fine, I guess you can work here and cut up onions or something in the back." But he's still trying to figure out who's stealing the money. So he breaks in when he thinks everybody's gone for the night, and tries to hack onto the computers, and of course, like, Nova finds out, and she walks in, she's like, what are you doing? Like, get out of here, you're fired immediately because you're, like, breaking into the computers. And while she's, like, freaking out, get off this property, you criminal, he's like, damn, she's a spitfire. Just watching her eyes flash sends my groin tightening. Nobody I date would ever act like this. Excuse me? Nobody you date would ever be freaked out that, some guy you just hired is, like, breaking into your office? And he's like, I'm fighting this overwhelming urge to kiss her. And she's like, I'm calling the police. And he's like, are you sure you want to do that? I'm tight with the boss. And she's like, I'm absolutely fucking sure. But she doesn't end up calling the police. And, like, he leaves. And then she calls Jace Pickle, the owner of the store, being like, this guy you recommended to work here broke in to the store. And then he gets his brother Max to pretend to be him, and Max is just like, oh, it's totally fine. In fact, like, I'm promoting you to the manager of the store, and I'm gonna give you a big raise and stuff, so, like, don't even worry about it. He's totally cool with us, and we're gonna figure out what's going on, but yeah, you're getting a big raise. And she's like, okay, it's fine, I guess. I mean, sure. As I'm eating pickle, there's this part where they're preparing pickles in the morning, and Nova's fingers wrap around a particularly girthy specimen. This is pickles. They're talking about pickles. A particularly girthy specimen, and I have to steel my jaw to shove aside the untoward thoughts in my head. Like, she's touching a pickle, man. What's wrong with you? Nova turns the pickle over. Susan switched our provider. And Susan is the old manager who, like, mysteriously disappeared 6 months ago, very suspiciously. So Susan switched our provider. She lifts the pickle close to her face, taking a closer look. I have to take a deep breath and will my male anatomy to chill the hell out. It's a pickle, sir. Sir, it's a pickle. Calm down. Oh, right, and remember how I said his real last name is Packwood? So he does, like, something stupid at work, and then she gets angry at him, and she's like, so this is his point of view. She's angry at me, I guess due to my incompetence, and waves the glove in my face. You think I knew how to make bread when I got here? Learn, Peckerwood. And then he's like, it's Packwood. And she's like, you're lucky I don't call you Limp Biscuit. I'm sorry, ew. And he's like, damn, I will never figure her out. Like, what do you think she meant? I feel like that was sending a pretty clear signal. Buddy. So they have this thing at the deli where it's like a bread of the month, or like a bread special, and then they have a pickle of the month. So the bread special that month is pickle, like chopped up pickles in a bread loaf. And firstly, like, I didn't know if this was a real thing or not, so I looked it up, and like, it just looks like boogers in bread. Like, I'm sorry, but that does not look appetizing to me at all. But they're like, oh yeah, this pickle's in bread, like, it's tight. Yeah, like, can't wait. The customers are gonna love this. So she's telling him about this bread, and he's like, dill pickles in bread. That's what it says. And people eat it? I think it's gonna be hugely popular, but it might be the name. He's like, it has a name? I mean, obviously the bread of the month has a name. So Nova spins around to stare at me. You never eat at any of the pickles? Because that's what they're called. Like, it's the city and then the pickle. So, like, the Manhattan pickle, the Austin pickle, which is, like, I hate that. But anyways, so they're at the Austin pickle, and she's like, you never eat at any of the pickles? So then he's like, I shrug. It's true, I avoid our own delis. I got sick of it growing up. There's lots of restaurants around town. She shakes her head. I think people are going to order this one just to say the name out loud. Now she has me curious. So what's it called? It's dill pickles and bread. She laughs. What do you think? He's like, I think I have no idea. And she leans in. It's called the dildo. It's called the dildo. It's called the dildo. Sorry, but like, okay, can you imagine like getting off after school, it's soccer practice, you just had a big game, and then your coach takes you to the local deli, and you go in to order a sandwich, And the person's like, okay, little Timmy, what kind of bread would you like on your pastrami sandwich? And he's like,
I'll have the dildo bread.
ew, like children. No, it's so inappropriate. Dildo bread? Ew. I don't like it. So it's her perspective, and they're cooking in the back, and she's like, there's practically a chick flick soundtrack in the background. Jason withdraws his hand. Ladies first. And she's like, don't call me a lady, I snap. Sorry, he says, although he doesn't sound the least bit sorry. Give me the damn flour, wench. Like, can you imagine a guy just calls you wench? Like, give me the damn flour, wench. Who talks like that? So then they're like getting closer, and she's starting to open up to himself more. And so firstly, like, she's 22 and he's like 30. And so she was going to business school to get a master's degree in business, which is like how she got to be in the role of manager at this deli. He, on the other hand, has been a playboy like his whole life and was always like, I'm hands off the business. Like, I don't care about it at all. He's just going to the French Riviera and like posting pictures on Instagram and stuff, which, like, okay, you're the son of a deli owner and that's your like high roller baller lifestyle? Like, how much money does this deli make? They have like 4 sandwich shops in the US, and somehow they're like these extravagant high money like billionaire family. Like, no. So she is opening up to him, and she's telling him about why she's not going to school right now because she had to take a pause, and apparently she took out a student loan, and then instead of spending the money on tuition, she was like, well, I had money, so I decided to buy an apartment for my mom and my little sister so we would have a place to stay. Which, like, firstly, you're spending your tuition on a house? Like, it's just knowing the American loan system, like, I know how much interest those kinds of loans have, and the fact that you would just like not spend it on what you're supposed to be spending it on and just like throw it away and know that it's going to be like double the interest or however much, like you're going to be paying that off till you're like 40, and you just throw it away so that you have a nice place to live. I don't understand it. So at first she's like, yeah, so I spent part of it on an apartment for my mom and my sister. But then her mom like steals her credit card and goes shopping and like buys herself a bunch of clothes and stuff. And instead of being mad at her mom, she's just like, oh, well, I can't like deny her those few little small things because I want her to be happy. And it's like, no, bitch, your mom stole from you. That was your money for school and she stole from you. Now you can't go to school and you have to work minimum wage at a deli because your mom stole from you. And she's just like, it's okay, I guess. She's an alcoholic, but I love her. Like, no. Do better. Oh, yeah. And when she's telling Jason the story, he's like, appropriately, he's like, but that's theft. You didn't report her? And she's like, she's my mother, Jason. Who's to say I deserve the money for myself? It made sense to let her use some of it. Most of it. Like, no, bitch. That money was for your school. Your mom's a bad person. Like, yikes. Okay, and beside, like, the hilarious pickle puns in this book, this is the sad thing about it is that it's just bad. Like, it's a story about 2 people who work in a sandwich shop. Like, that's just what they do. They work in a deli all day. And so anytime there's not, like, flirting or sex happening, it's just them working in the sandwich shop. So, like, sometimes in the middle of the mad lunch rush, when I'm pitching in at the register or slapping pastrami on a slice of rye, I'll catch him watching me while he slides a new vat of pickle relish on the sandwich line. It's little things, like him noticing when I'm too tired to be wielding a knife to catch us up on the tomato slices, so he takes over even though he ought to be done. And last week when a customer got in my face, angry we were out of dildo. The customer was angry they were out of dildo bread, and he had to accept plain bread on his sandwich. Jason easily slid into the situation and placated the man when I was about to smack him with some salami. I was about to smack him with some salami. It's pure poetry. Shakespeare could not have done this better. I'm still eating the pickle. There's also so many office puns about like spreadsheets and stuff because he's pretending to just be a regular employee, so technically she's his manager. And so there's a point at the end of the day when like his shirt's all sweaty and smells like onion or something, so he's changing into one of the pickle work shirts. And so she's like, I can't even smile in return. I'm mesmerized by the shift of muscles as he picks up the pickle shirt and pulls it on. As the fabric drops over his body, I finally drag my gaze away. My mouth speaks before my brain can stop, asking, so I guess you work out then? He tugs the bottom of the shirt in places and fixes his gaze on me. Why, Miss Strong, were you ogling me while I changed shirts? Should I speak to HR about it? Yes. Yes, you should. If your boss is staring at you changing, please go to HR about it. That's inappropriate, man or woman. Oh my god, another thing I hated. They call their fridge unironically Mr. Chill. Like, the fridge is never called a fridge one single time in the book. It's always Mr. Chill. And they'll just refer to it like, hey, can you go to Mr. Chill and grab some eggs? Can you go to Mr. Chill and get some more pickles for the pickle whatever? Stop! Oh, and then for some reason halfway through the book he has like this weird personality change and he becomes like this like cringy simp, and he's just like, as I approach to unlock the door, he gives me a deep formal bow, hand wave and all, as he bends down. My lord and master, he says, I am ready to absorb more knowledge from your wise presence. Ew, she's teaching you how to make bread. Like, chill out, you sad boy. And she's just like, there he goes again, over the top charm, adorable. And then she's just like, although for all the pomp and flourish, he seems oddly authentic, like he means what he says and he can't help it that he's irresistible while doing it. Would that be irresistible too if a man went up and was like, "M'lady, after you"? Like, no, I would be like, get it away from me, ew. And then they like keep flirting, and he's like, we're making naughty things in the kitchen, wink. And she loves it. She's like eating it up. And then she's just like trying to compose herself, and she's like, you fetch the ingredients and I'll get everything ready. And he's like, your wish is my command. Like, ew, I'm sorry. I've said ew like 1,000 times, but like it still stands. Ew. Ew. And he keeps going with it too. He's like, they're talking about having a movie night and watching I Love Lucy at one point, and he's like, sounds like a smashing Friday night. Like, get out of here. Who are you? Pickle around too. Let's do this. So she's like still kind of hesitant about him, but then she has to bring her sister into work one day. And the sister cracks like 2 horrible jokes at him, and he's just like playing along as you do, and she's just like, my panties are wet. Like, oh my god, he's he's getting along with my sister, he's listening to her crack a terrible joke. Oh my god, I must marry this man. Like, calm down, he's just being nice. And then there's another part where they're meeting each other in the morning to like prep the bread for the day. Again, like, this is what the book is about. When there isn't pickle jokes, it's just like, we're prepping the bread and the pickles for the day. Like, great. This is not a good book. So he's like, I would like to try your pickles, please. He calls out, then inwardly grimaces. I haven't said anything that dorky since 6th grade. Like, are you sure? Because I think just yesterday you were like, after you, m'lady. And she's just like, no pickles for you. You guys, your banter is 10 out of 10. Like, can't get enough of it. Also, when they're like right about to do it, there's a part where she's wearing a tank top and she like sits down in a chair, and he's like, I can't do anything but admire the bobble her breasts make as she lands. The bobble. Because apparently breasts bobble. Yeah, that's hot. That's hot. And then he does that annoying thing where he's like, oh, she doesn't even need makeup. She's so pretty. It's like, shut up. Just shut up. Nobody cares if you think she's pretty without makeup. Like, oh. And then so like this is like the big moment before they're about to do it for the first time, and they're like flirting really hardcore. And this is the scene. It's like, he steps closer. I'm annoying. We're only a foot apart. My temperature has already fallen in the cold, and I shiver because they're in a freezer. Because they do it in a freezer. Yeah. So she's like, you have to admit you were pretty terrible at first. And now, I cross my arms in front of my belly. I can deal with you. He laughs because he thinks that's funny. Of course he does. Did you just make a pickle pun? She's like, oh, it wasn't kosher? He's like, only if you're gherkin my chain. And that just absolutely kills them with laughter. Like, they find it hilarious. And then they're like getting cold in the freezer, and he's like, should we head out? And she's like, or maybe I might relish a little warmth. Oh god. And then there's one part where he's like trying to hype himself up, and he's like, I'm Jace fucking Pickle, part of the Pickle Deli dynasty. I can do this. You're part of the Pickle dynasty. Please go directly to jail. Do not pass go. Get out of my face with that. Do you think Nova would approve of the size of this pickle? I don't think she would. Oh, and then there's this gross part where he's like oogling her body and thinking about how good she looks. And he's like, oh, they're not mine to look at. Not yet. Ew, they're never yours. Even if you guys are dating, she's not your property. You nasty. And then here's one of the many, many, many scenes where they're working with pickles in the deli. And one of the coworkers walk in, and he's like, look at the two of you stuffing pickles. Like, you were born to do it. And then she's like, oh, I've been meaning to teach him the art of the perfect pickle placement. And the coworker's like, oh, you haven't taught him how to do it yet? And she's like, nope, I was waiting until the right moment when I knew his pickle work was worthy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I'm doing this. And then the coworker's like, is it just me, or do I sense some real pickle action happening? And then it gets even worse. And she's like, so there's like this dish that they have that's stuffed pickles, which like, that doesn't sound good. Can you imagine eating a stuffed pickle? Like, I understand like stuffed mushrooms or stuffed bell pepper or something, but like a stuffed pickle? No. So she's teaching him how to stuff the pickle, and she's like, you ready to stuff a pickle? And then he's like, are we talking about these? And he waves at a pile of pickles. I don't know. And she's like, nope, I'm talking about yours. Ew. Okay, so eventually he asks her out on a date. And so she's like scrounging around for an outfit, and she ends up borrowing some clothes from her mom. You know, the mom who like stole her credit card and bought a bunch of nice clothes. So she's like feels guilty for borrowing her mom's clothes, but it's like, you paid for those clothes with your student loan money. So yeah, I think you're entitled to borrow those clothes if you want to, girl. So she gets something to wear, but it's still not like super fancy compared to him, because he's like supposedly a millionaire or whatever, and he wears like $1,000 jeans and stuff. So he takes her out, and somebody comes to like, it's like valet parking, and somebody comes to open the door, and she's just like, oh, no one has ever been this courteous and subservient to me. I'm used to quick glances that swiftly dart away. It's like, subservient? He opened the door for you. Like, get off your damn high horse. Subservient. So she realizes that this restaurant is like super, super fancy, and she immediately gets uncomfortable because it's like fancier than any place she's ever been to. And there's also this like mean lady who like stares at her outfit and is like judging it. So she wants to leave, and Jason's immediately just like, okay, no problem, let's just go somewhere else, which is nice of him. That's like, yeah, I'll approve of that. That one thing about him was okay. So they decide to leave and go somewhere else, and he wants to like look more casual, so he just like rips his vest off and dumps it in a trash can. He's like, I don't need this vest anymore. Into the garbage it shall go. And it's like, and he's like, oh, I didn't need it. It was pretentious. It's like, excuse you, that was probably like $1,000 vest, and you just threw it in the trash. Everybody on earth hates you right now. I'm sorry, sir, but like, you've lost your points that you had by saying they could leave the restaurant. You just lost them because you dumped a perfectly good vest in the trash, and I'm not about that lifestyle. Thumbs down. Okay, I opened my blinds. Hopefully that helps with the lighting a little bit. Hopefully it's not too dark. Okay, so after their date, he takes her back to his place, and they're like getting it on. Once again, comparing his schlong to a pickle. Again, I'm so sorry. So she's like, I feel like we need a clever new name for this new pickle offering. And he laughs and he's like, oh, like the pickle of the month? So they're like trying to come up with names, and he's like, Big Pickle? Maybe Head Salami? And then he says, Mayo Cannon? mayo cannon. And she's immediately like, ew, gross. Because why would that not be your reaction to someone? Oh, what should I nickname my penis? How about mayo cannon? And then they're like, and then they get under the sheets, and he aimed his mayo cannon right at me. I'm sorry, it's so gross. Okay, so eventually, as they progress and keep flirting and stuff, they do figure out who was stealing all the money. So it turns out that it was like the former manager, the one who had ghosted for 6 months. It was like her, and then when she stopped doing it, it was like a friend of hers started stealing for them, and eventually they like put in a bunch of security cameras and they tracked it down. Really, it's like not that important to the plot. But anyways, they end up finding out who did it. But in the process of that, when they call the police to the store, Jason has to give his name and his phone number. And then she realizes that Jace Pickle's phone number is the same as Jason Packwood's phone number. And she's like completely betrayed, as she should be. Like, this guy, literally, the only reason he lied was because he thought she or somebody in the store might be stealing from him. But then eventually he realizes that she's trying to find it out just as much as he is. And instead of being like, okay, well, I know you're a good person now, so like, let me just tell you this thing about me. He's just like, the sex is too good and I don't want her to hate me, so I'm just gonna keep deceiving her because I'm scared she'll hate me when she finds out that I have been lying to her this whole time. What did you think was gonna happen, Jason? What did you think was gonna happen? So like, rightly, she's like, we're done. So she just completely ghosts him and is just like, I will talk to you as the manager and you are the owner, but that's the only relationship we're gonna have from now on. And I think that was a highly, highly appropriate reaction after you find out like some guy you've been hooking up with fully lied about his identity. I would be pissed off too. So he like pouts about it for a bit and he decides to go to the French Riviera and like try to forget about her. Like, oh, I'm unhappy, I'm gonna go to France. Me. Like, suck it up, you rich asshole. So then he's just like pouting on the beach and stuff, and then this like Instagram model comes up to him and she's like, what do you think is the sexiest scent in the world? And he just turns to her fully with all sincerity and is like, pickle juice and bread dough. He says pickle juice and bread dough is the sexiest smell. That kind of sums up this book to me. Pickle juice and bread dough. And of course her reaction is appropriate. And she's like, that's fucking weird. That's gross. And he's just like, it is what it is, honey boo. So now it's like getting towards the end of the year and the dad collects all the sons together so he can kind of talk about how they're progressing. So he invites the 3 brothers and all the managers of the brothers' deli stores and like their grandma and stuff, because like as a family business, I guess. So everybody's coming. And and so she finally gets to meet Max, who is the brother that she spoke to on the phone. And he's just being like a nice guy. He's like, welcome. I'm sorry I lied to you. Like, let me show you around town and stuff, because they're in New York. And she's like, this dude's nice. He seems like a perfectly friendly guy. And then Jason sees them, and the brother's literally not doing anything. He's just like walking next to her. Yeah, literally all the brother does is compliment her and say, the deli is so lucky to have you because like literally it would have gone bankrupt without you. And then he just like takes her hand and puts it on his arm to like escort her into the room. That's literally all he does. And apparently that's way too much physical contact for Jason, because he goes ahead and like slugs his brother in the face, punches his brother in the face, which just like, that's so inappropriate. Like, the brother wasn't even flirting with her or anything. He just literally put her hand on your arm, and you're gonna fucking punch your brother in the face for that? Like, anger management. Like, go see a therapist, my friend. Like, you need to talk out your issues. What's happening with my hair here? There. Fixed it. Yeah, and that gets smoothed over really quick too. Like, nobody really apologizes for it. It's just like, oh, it happened. That Jason and his temper. Like, better watch out. Cute. Like, no. He literally punched he's a grown man, and he punched his grown-ass brother in the face for no conceivable reason. And she was like, oh, he's hot. Ew. That's not hot. Like, that's a red flag. I took too big a bite of pickle. That's what she said. So then to make up for punching his brother in the face, what he does is they like have a karaoke party at the end of the night to celebrate like finishing all their business, and the brother picks a song and it's I'm Too Sexy. Like, I'm too sexy for my shirt. That song. So he's just like, well, I punched my brother in the face, so I guess I'll go embarrass myself with this cute little karaoke song and all will be forgiven. Anyways, they eventually make up because of course they are gonna make up, and they like hook up in the hotel room, and then they walk back into the room and like, of all people, the grandma starts a slow clap. She's like, way to go, guys, you did the deed. Like, the grandma slow claps because they got it on. It's so weird. So they make up, slow clap and Grammy, everybody accepts the relationship, and then we cut to the end of the year when they finally announce who the winner of the deli is. It's not Jason. Jason did not win. This is me eating pickle to celebrate that Jason did not win. So his youngest brother Anthony wins. Which, like, good for you, Anthony. You deserve it. You deserve it, Anthony. So now we're at the end of the book, and of course, he proposes to her, because why not? So how he proposes to her is he's like, Nova Strong, love of my life, the most perfect, beautiful, strong woman I've ever known. Will you do me the honor of being my wife? And she's like, her response is, Jason Pickle, eldest brother of the Pickle Delicatessen dynasty, love of my life, maker of dildo, creator of dreams. I would be delighted and honored and so very lucky to be your wife. And then the very last lines of the book are him saying, Nova, you are the best thing that's ever happened to the Pickles. And she says, I only want to be the best thing that happened to yours. Isn't that just true love? So romantic. So yeah, Big Pickle by J.J. Knight. It's a literary masterpiece. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. It's just, the funny thing is that there were so many, like, it's highly reviewed on Goodreads. Like, it's got like above a 4-star rating on Goodreads. And all the comments are just like, this is hilarious. This was exactly what I needed. So funny, so clever. It was delightful. Delightful. Yeah, I gave it 2 out of 5. Please do not read this book. Thank you for watching.